Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the last problem in this set of problems. We see that we have to find the power delivered by the voltage source. So this one here, okay? And they already set up a couple uh, currents for us. So uh, if it's already in the looping situation, we can kind of go ahead and assume that it's going to be uh, a mesh loop analysis. And what does our mesh loop analysis actually mean for us? It means that we're going to go through and do a bunch of KVLs on each loop. So if we do the first loop, uh, we'll go ahead and say minus, I'm sorry, plus I1 times 5. Then when we get to here, sorry, do it like this. Okay. When we pass through the 7 ohm resistor, we're the I1 current, and we're entering in the positive terminal, but the I3 current is fighting against us, so we'll subtract I3 off, and we'll multiply it by 7. Then we'll come down through here. We'll pass through the positive 31 of the voltage source, so plus 31, and that'll be equal to 0. And if we go and simplify this out, this will be 12I1 minus 7I3 is equal to negative 31. And that'll be our first equation. If we come look at the second equation, second loop, we'll do something similar. We'll travel through this way, and we will say plus 3I2, since we're traveling with I2. We'll come up through here. We'll hit the negative terminal of the battery, so we'll do negative 31. Then we'll travel this way through this 11. So we will get do 11 times I2 minus I3, since I3 is opposing our direction. And we'll set that equal to 0. Then if we come out here and simplify down, we'll get 14I2 minus 11I3 will be equal to 31. And this will be our second equation. Then if we come and do I3, so 3 here, let's go ahead and pick green. Come travel this way, like this. We'll go through and we'll say 1 times I3. We'll go this way, pass through the 11 ohm resistor, so plus 11, now will be I3 minus I2. Then we'll keep going this way. We'll pass through that 7 ohm resistor, so plus 7 will be I3 minus now I1, and that'll be equal to 0. And if we come down here and we simplify this out, we'll get negative 7I1 minus 11I2, 7, 19, 7, 18, 19, 19, okay. Then plus 19I3 will be equal to 0. And what we'll do is we can go through and just use a traditional plug and chug method. Okay. And then what we can do is, now that we have these, we can come in here and we see that we have I1, I2, and I3 in this bottom equation. And now we're going to go ahead and solve for uh, I3 here because we have relations I2 and I3 here, I1 and I3 there. So by doing that, what we'll effectively do is get rid of the two unknowns. So if I go and write the I1 and I put it so that I1 is going to be equal to negative 31 plus 7I3 over 12. And then if I take equation 2 and do I2 is equal to 31 plus 11I3 over 14. And I'll take those and I'll plug those into equation 3 here. By doing that, we'll get negative 7 I1, we said was negative 31 plus 7 I3 over 12. We'll get negative 11 31 plus plus 11 I3 over 14, and then plus 19 I3 will equal 0. Okay. So then now what we can do is simplify this down, and we're going to go ahead and pause and do a little bit of algebra magic. And we get that I3 is equal to 1 amp. Okay, so now that we know that I3 is equal to 1 amp, if we go to equation 1, we can see that 12I1 minus 7I3 will be equal to negative 31. So therefore I1 be equal to negative 31 plus 7 times 1 amp over 12, which will give us negative 24 over 12. Therefore, I1 will be equal to negative 2. And then if we jump to equation 2, we'll have I2 is equal to 31 plus 11 times 1 for 14. Give us 42 over 14. And that gives us a value for I2 of 3 amps. Okay. So we did all that. Now that we know that, we can sit here and figure out what the current is going to be through the power supply, because we did all this just to figure out, if I have plus minus 31 volts, if my I1 is going that way and my I2 is going that way, I need to find the current that goes through it. For P is equal to VI, voltage is 31 volts. the current will be I1 minus I2 or I2 minus I1. We just got to figure out what the current direction is. And when we do that, we said I1's -2, and then I2 is 3 amps. So this will be -5 amps. So this is, I was assuming that the current is going that way. And then for this one, I'm assuming the current goes the other way. So then over here, this would be 3 minus -2, should be 5 amps. So our current is 5 amps going that way. So minus 5 amps, which will give us a value of -155 watts. Therefore, power is equal to -155 watts, which is supplying